Welcome to the call. Today we will be chatting with Jimmy and Paula George out of the UK in the Meet the KSI Coaches series. So welcome to the call and thanks for making yourself available, Paula and Jimmy.
Well, thanks for inviting us in. It's an honour to be here.
Well, we can't not invite you because you've been pretty standout performers in the last 12 months. But let's go back a little bit further in history than that, and let's start. Obviously, you're in the industry. You're in the what we call the physical preparation industry. But where did it begin? Take us back to where it began.
Well, I'll let Paula tell you her story, and then I'll tell you mine.
Okay. So historically, I was very fortunate. I was brought up in a very sporty family. I was encouraged to do sport from an early age and to try a variety of sports. But I seem to have a sort of a natural aptitude for swimming, so that's what I eventually settled on, and was able to have a successful swimming career to national level. Didn't quite make it to international level, but it was a great career. And then following on from that, went into formal studies, did a degree, came away from sport a little bit, but then came back into sport a later time with triathlon, which I'm still currently competing at. And along the way, even when I finished my swim career at the age of 19, I sort of felt I wanted to contribute to the sport. So I became a swimming teacher and worked at the teaching arm of the club that I was attached to. Really enjoyed that. Mainly worked with young children, beginners and improvers. And that was great fun. Learned a lot through doing that. And then when I went back when I completed my family, somebody asked me to teach their child to swim, which I did. Refreshed my swimming qualifications as a teacher and set up a swim school, which again, really enjoyed. Loved working with the young children. And so a lot of these things worked in parallel. So I was starting to enjoy triathlon as a sport for myself. And a couple of people suggested that I maybe become a personal trainer because I was working out a lot. So I did a fitness instructor, personal trainer course, became a personal trainer, enjoyed that. Then I also got my triathlon coaching badges, so I was doing an awful lot of learning in quite a short space of time.
It sounds like you really have come from the sporting background. What year was it that you started to step into you used the word personal trainer, that's a word in the industry. What year was that roughly that you stepped into that discipline?
That would have been 1999.
Near the turn of the century.
Yeah.
At the moment, give or take a year in the history of the industry or the profession globally. Yes. Absolutely.
And actually, it's through doing the KSI courses that I've learned what I was going through during that time without even being aware of it.
All right, so you're at 2000. So what were your initial? Actually, let's catch up with Jimmy, and I want to come back, Paula. I want to come back and understand, how you, what were your thoughts about your early education, and what moves you made from a business perspective or a professional perspective. But let's catch up to how did Jimmy get involved in the industry?
So my background was cycling. Took up cycling very young, like 13 years old. Really into competitive road cycling, which was before it took off in the UK. It was a joke sport back then, and just absolutely loved everything about it. Loved the training, loved how epic it was, loved the equipment, and that took me on quite a journey in my younger days. So much so that I then went over to Belgium and I moved there for 3 years to try and pursue a career as a pro athlete. That was what I wanted. That was all I ever wanted. And the sport didn't turn out to be quite the sport I thought it was, which was thanks to many people, but obviously it was headed up by good old Lance Armstrong. And it kind of ended me, to be honest with you. I was burnt out. I was absolutely shot to bits, mentally, physically. And I just came home, just packed my bags and came home and quit that dream. And I still wanted to ride my bike. And I didn't really know why, but I just thought I needed to learn to swim. I'd never learned to swim, and it was quite embarrassing, really. So I decided to enter my local triathlon and try to get through it. And it was messy, but I got through it. Then thought I would try to do some open water swimming, and I got into a lake and had a massive panic. I shouldn't have really been in there. I got out, and Paula was walking the other way, and she said to me, "What's the matter?" We only really loosely knew each other, and said, "Just can't cope with that. Can't swim. I'm quitting. I think this is a stupid sport." And she said, "Well, meet me at the pool tomorrow morning, and I'll give you some tips on how to swim, and in return you can teach me how to ride my bike." And that's really how we got to know each other. And but from then it went on to triathlon has now been like my hobby sport, really. It's been my adulthood career as a sports person. But at that point I didn't have any desire to study or anything. I wanted to be an athlete, so I didn't have any qualifications behind me, and I was working in a warehouse, just packing shelves and stuff at the time. And I said to Paula, I need to do something that I feel passionate about. And Paula encouraged me to look at personal training and to take out a career in coaching. And that was around 2004, 2005. And I think I qualified 2006, which is where I started working with clients for personal training.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. So both of you a very strong entry point from the sporting perspective, and you just need a running partner, and you've got a team for the team events. So it's amazing how many athletes fall into triathlon. It really catches a lot of former athletes, and when I say former, like from different disciplines, including fairly elite athletes. So it's no wonder the sport has a massive following. It is generally a growth sport, and a sport participated in by people typically, like yourself. A lot of people come in as a second sport, and they're later in their career with a high disposable income. It's just a phenomenal sport from that perspective, but it's a tough sport to write programs for. But that's I'm already telling you something you know. So let's come back to Paula. So you decided you get some qualifications. You've already got a coaching degree of sorts, and now you're going to get some qualifications in what you call personal training. And I use that word with inverted commas because it was a term that became popular out of America. As I understood the history, I got first exposed to it in the early 1990s. So, I was a bit surprised when I heard the term because I'd already been, working in, without boring you with my story, that, in the 80s, people said, "What do you do?" I said, "I train athletes." And they said, "Well, what sport do you coach?" They didn't quite understand it. In the 90s, when people said, "What do you do?" I said, "I train athletes." They said, "Oh, so you're a personal trainer." So I literally stopped telling people what I did because I felt so insulted. But anyway, that's just my story. So your education in the early days, be straight. You enjoyed it. It made a difference. Where did it take you?
Yeah, I did a course with a personal training company. Looking back, it was basic, but I felt it was safe. I felt I could go and work with clients in a basic but safe way. And I think I've always felt that you don't want to be injuring your clients. So that's always been part of what's been important to me as a trainer. And I think that came out of that first course. Good.
Excellent to hear. Excellent. So what sort of work did you take on then? Did it change the nature of your work from just being a coach or swimming coach? Did you took on clients?
Yeah. So I did just general population clients to begin with, which I really enjoyed. And some of those clients that I started with then are still clients today.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful to them.
Excellent. And so what about yourself, Jimmy, as far as your education around the mid 2000s, what impact did that have? What direction did you take as a result of the education that you got exposed to?
The direction I took was that I wanted to just train anybody and everybody, really. I wanted to see as many bodies as I could and try to understand what game I got in, to be honest with you. I felt after my course, it was pretty good, but I remember my very first session thinking, I'm not too sure what I'm doing here. And I come from a very sporting background to knowing it and knowing how what the deal was for that sport, to going into generally training people and not feeling very confident. So a lot of stuff was through word, through just general books, just through the libraries, and just speaking to other trainers, really, and just trying to get a feel for what is it to be a personal trainer at that point. I always felt a little bit uncomfortable because of my sporting background with what we were starting to teach people, because I'd never really practiced that myself. So I'd always felt, up until recently, really quite uncomfortable with the way that we would be coaching.
Very interesting. It was a rapid transition. I was in England working in the early to mid 1990s, and there was no fitness industry per se. When I say no fitness industry, there was always clubs. There was always, but they were typically high end or bodybuilding clubs. There was no general population really opportunities. So you had membership clubs and you had your bodybuilding gyms, but there was no industry outside of that. And there was definitely no professional organisations. There was obviously a lot of history in different sports like track and field, English track and field, and a lot of influence coming across from East Germany, but that's another story. But there was no fitness industry per se. So for you to get access to that in 1999, Paula, that's a pretty rapid transition. And I'm saying I'm going to say it would have been a pretty rough start for a country that had nothing, had no professional development and physical preparation whatsoever. And all of a sudden it's got what I would call American influenced models of business and models of thinking, which was pretty surprising because, England for me in the 90s was not one willing to take, to take on other ideas. It was pretty stuck in this way. Like we've led the world for so many centuries. We know what we're doing, but obviously there must have been a feeling of there was a void in that business industry, and they, for whatever reason, they adopted a lot of American education pretty quickly, as I see it. But that's just my perspective. So coming back to Paula, so you felt safe in your early teachings, and you had clients. So where did it grow from there? And what year are we talking about now?
So going through the sort of early 2000s, I wanted to improve. I've always wanted to learn. So I became a course chaser, really, and a certificate chaser. And I just... Do you
think that's an industry influence? Because I call it, but I call it as that. But like there's a perception in the industry that the more courses you have, the more information you've got sitting on your shelf, the better you must be.
Absolutely. And I definitely fell into that trend. So I did a lot of courses. And I think the result of that through the next sort of five years until I opened up the studio was, everything was a bit of a mishmash. So I took a little bit of this and a little bit of that and created, workouts, programs. But there wasn't any clear vision. And I think sort of, after opening the studio, I think that for me, there was a gradual feeling that I was becoming rudderless, and there wasn't any clear direction. I was also doing more triathlon coaching, and I think my interest was coming away from the strength, dare I say, and conditioning side of the industry.
Well, that's another term in the industry. I'm more than happy for you to use it. It's in the industry. It's a reality. It's a historical reality. Whether or not people should be embracing it to the extent they do is another story. But yeah, I'm everywhere. It's expanded to the point where it's just a term. But I'd like to see an alternative promoted. But yeah, so you got a little bit. You felt a bit moving away from the strength and conditioning genre, so to speak?
Yeah, and I was really enjoying coaching triathlon, but without any sort of strength element to that coaching. So I was coaching swim, bike, run without really considering the strength elements that obviously, would be important. So there was a bit of a split in my interest and my direction, and I felt the personal training side of it, I was just treading water. I would say I became pretty inert.
Well, it's a good reflection. You've been in the industry for 20 years, so now, but obviously what year that we're talking?
I would say post 2006 till fairly recently.
Yeah. So you'd had 7 years in the industry to come to some conclusions. So let me ask you about the studio. What was the influence to open the studio? Was it an independent business decision, or was there some industry influence?
There was a little bit of both, to be honest. There was an opportunity for me to be able to open the studio, but there was definitely influences from other trainers that I knew in my network who were working in London, because at that time there were a lot of studios opening in London, and it was definitely the influence was that should be your next step.
And what was the expectation when you opened your studio? Like, what were you expecting was going to happen as a result of that?
Well, my vision was that it would be myself, like-minded trainers, and sort of therapists who could all work under one roof and all work together with a combined vision, a way of working together for the clients. But the reality of that, hasn't been the reality.
Yeah, interesting. So at least you've had that experience, and it's good to have the experience and to learn from it. So we're in the mid 2000s, and you're realizing that there might be something missing. Jimmy's a bit fresher than you in the industry, but by the sound of things, also realizing something might be missing. So what did you do about it?
Yeah, definitely was something missing, and through frustration, to be honest with you, that we went out to look for it. So just hearing, I'll be honest, just rubbish from other trainers, and just seeing junk being put out there, and just getting really frustrated with it. I said to Paula, I just need to clear my mind again, and just need to start looking again and learning again. And Paula pulled off of the shelf How to Write by Ian King, and that was the catalyst, to be honest with you. We took it away first. I read it in a few days, and it was just so exciting to read it again, and to read it and to get motivated. We then went onto the website. I just wanted to really understand who Ian King was, and understand why is this book so different to everyone else. And then we saw there's courses, and was like, we've got to get on these courses. This is looking really exciting. And it was things in the courses that stood out were, first of all, just the saying, the athlete comes first, and it just really resonated with us, because it isn't out there, that just isn't out there, and that attracted us. But also stuff about us developing as well, which was so unique to see that, and realizing that it's not just about the knowledge, it is about us developing. It was so attractive. So we signed up to level 0, and yeah, it's all changed from there.
Very good stuff. So what year did you take How to Write off the shelf?
So it would have been late 2018.
Excellent. And Paul, when you obviously had the book, when did you get the book?
I was trying to think. So I bought a lot of books. So I don't know if a trainer suggested it, or it's obviously come across my path. I think a trainer suggested it.
What year did you buy it, do you reckon?
2000, 2001. It's an early edition.
Okay. Yes, the original edition?
Yeah.
Wow. So it was written in 98, and up till 2001, it was the only version of its kind. There's been some knockoffs since, but that's the real deal then. You had the original, but it must have been, did it impact you much, or was it just one of the many books you were buying in your search for information collecting?
I definitely used it for putting sessions together, but I didn't look at it in any depth at that time. And as I say, I was sort of doing lots of different courses with different approaches. So I have to be honest, it wasn't something that I sort of delved deeply into at that time.
Yeah, no, that's reality. You're not the only one. There's a lot of people with that story, but it's great. So you had the book there from about 2001, and 17 years later, you've started into the courses. Now, this is just the journey. This is just a reality, and with the challenge that we face, we're coming from a sporting perspective, as you are. And I know many people in the fitness industry think, well, Ian, you train athletes, your content must be irrelevant to the fitness population because you only train athletes. So it can't be relevant to me as a fitness professional. I'm pretty sure you'd have a different perspective on that. But anyway, so you started the course in 2018. Who stepped up first, or did it together?
Paula stepped up first.
Okay, so Paula's the leader. Were you watching to see what was going to happen?
But probably, yeah. I think I was actually.
And so what did Paula say? It's like she's been in the industry now for 19 years. She's doing the level 0 course. In fact, Paula, a lot of people say, listen, I've been in the industry for 19 years. Why the hell would I have to do a level 0 course? I should get recognition of prior learning. Did you have that, or felt you?
Absolutely not. I felt ready to learn, to embrace something new. Level 0 blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. I felt it was almost like I was relieved. I was relieved that I could start again.
Yeah, it's good, because I do get emails from people who list all their qualifications and list their industry experience, and basically are saying to me, and what the fuck? Why should I start from level 0? And it's a hard one to explain. I mean, with some degree of compassion and in respect, it's like it's just the way it is. So you didn't feel like you're wasting your time. 19 years in the industry, and here you are doing level 0.
Absolutely not. The depth and the scope, the principles, the philosophies, it was absolutely refreshing. And the saying is, when the pupil's ready, the teacher appears. And I think the timing was perfect, and it's changing our lives. It's changing our outlooks, careers, mindsets. It's been phenomenal.
So you obviously, and I should not say, you felt that the level 0 gave you an insight into what was possible if you went further in the courses?
Absolutely.
As well as gave you value for money in the first instance.
Oh, absolutely amazing value for money. Yeah. The amount of content that you supply, even at level 0, 1 and 2 is phenomenal.
Well, it's our goal to under promise and over deliver, which is why we don't make many claims. And I'd like to think that you were a bit stunned at how much value, and even if not value, at least content that you got, say at level 0. I think, what was it, $97 or something like that. And I'd like to think you're suitably satisfied with the value for money.
Very much so. Yeah, extremely happy.
So, Jimmy, you heard about the level 0 then. You threw Paula under the bus, said, Paula, you go and do it first. How long did it take for Jimmy to take action?
I think I was a couple of weeks behind, and just I absolutely loved it. And there's one section in there where it's talking about your mindset and about everything that we've learned and everything we've heard and had our ears polluted with, is about emptying it. And that was so profound. I think I watched that about 3 or 4 times because it was really resonating with me. And I still think about that most days when I study, because it's so important. It was such an important message. And then obviously through the course, it's giving you different. It's an eye opener to a different way of being as a coach. And we're not just talking about how you behave as a person, but understanding how people around you are behaving, good or bad, which was again was really eye-opening, and also about how to run a business in this industry. You know, that's been really powerful for us, because obviously we've got a studio, and it's time heavy, it's financially heavy, and it shows to us there's other ways.
Yeah, excellent. And I wrote, so you want to become a physical preparation coach back in the late 90s, around 2000, and that had a lot of business content in it. So I'm glad to see that's also, you know, you've taken the holistic teachings that we provide, including business, and take that on board. So let's talk about the impact on your clients. You both have clients, you're both pre-KSI, putting aside the possession of the book on the shelf. What's been the difference for the clients when you've embraced the KSI way to a great extent?
Yes, it's been really interesting, because a lot of our clients have been with us for a very long time. You know, we don't like to turn them around quickly. You know, we like to get to know them, understand them, and get under their skin, and really be there for them, and help them as people, and with their training. And that, when we started, COVID was just about to start, so which obviously we had no idea. So we then went into a really heavy lockdown, and we were training clients remotely with the KSI way. You know, we introduced lots of flexibility training as we were learning it, and we were doing as well. So we was practicing and trying it ourselves as well, and feeling the benefits. And the clients were expecting to go into a bit of a maintenance phase with their training, because they were going to be locked down. And the feedback from a lot of the clients was that they're accelerating their health, they're improving, the way they move is improving. So the feedback was phenomenal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So do you have clients, or do you have any issues with the fact that the KSI way isn't always the trend? Like, I've been pretty consistent with what I've taught, and I've been experimenting with it for 4 decades professionally, and it's not based on what everyone else is doing. So did you hit any hurdles with that, with clients or colleagues?
With the clients, I was very open with them. I said that I was learning with KSI, and that we would be changing the way that we would run through sessions, that we would start reviewing, that we would be introducing new things. The clients really embraced it. They were excited for us, and for me.
Good.
They're excited that they would be getting more value through their training, because I was developing as well. So from a client perspective, really positive feedback, really happy to embrace what I was introducing. And you know, we're still right at the beginning of this journey, so we're still learning and experimenting, and you know, gaining that experience. You know, we're very early in that experience, that level of experience.
So it would appear that you don't struggle at all with something that I think one of the things that holds many people back from progressing in the KSI education is that when they see that we actually, you know, we do without fear and favour what we think is best for the client. We don't look around and say, listen, what's Billy Blogs with an Instagram following of 10,000 plus doing, and therefore we better do the same, or you know, the local professor at the university telling us that this is wrong and therefore we should do it, you know, the inverted commas, the science way. You don't struggle with that. You don't suffer from that, from those social obligations, those conformity issues.
Not now, but for me, the coming to KSI was, it's helped me build my confidence in what I believe I can start to deliver again. And being a more mature female trainer in a very young male dominated industry, I did start to lose my confidence, because other trainers around us would be doing, you know, all kinds of manner of things. They would be asking to bring equipment that Jimmy and I didn't particularly want in the studio into the studio. And I quite honestly started to feel a little bit intimidated by not being seen to keep up with what they were doing. So I was definitely starting to fall into, should I be following this trend, or should I be following, should I be looking at what other trainers are doing? So again, the KSI courses and what you've brought to us couldn't have come at a better moment for me.
Very good. And I knowing many of these so-called industry leaders, having watched them from when they entered the industry till now, I understand the strategies many of them are using, and almost cult-like in their pressure on their followers. But that's another story. So it's good to hear that you didn't suffer from that over. What about you, Jimmy? Have you ever suffered from the feelings of the need to comply, or feeling inadequate, that you might be doing something like, hey, stretching, or maybe even static stretching before training, God forbid, and felt that that was going to be a problem for you or your clients?
Yeah, I used to, very much so. Yeah, very much was conforming, and just on a bit of a treadmill, really. Not really enjoying it, not really feeling as I'm thinking, or really doing what is actually best for the client. And I'm actually really grateful to a lot of my clients for sticking with us through that. I think just before we started our courses, we KSI did a meet the coaches, and I think we met the Europe coaches, and we had an amazing discussion, and it was really supportive. It was guys that have studied the courses and have been through the process, and were great examples, and they gave us some really great words of encouragement. And again, they still ring around my head what they said in that. And really, from there's certain moments, but there's definitely moments that made me take confidence that I can empty what I've currently had in my head and move forward.
And not coincidentally, some of them are on the call right now supporting you. You've got Rob Bennett and Dave Carpentier. Rob's not too far away from you, I believe, and Dave's in Belgium, both countries that we've spoken about.
Yeah, and they're we just love their company. They're really great to be around, and great role models for us. So yeah, we love spending time with them.
So I know you completed the questionnaire, and I appreciate that, where we talked about pre-KSI, post-KSI comparisons, and pre-COVID and post-COVID comparisons. And for you, there's a little bit of an overlap of the two. So let's talk about COVID. What lessons has COVID taught you? And the reason I'm raising is because, I'll say it later, but there's a lot of things that we haven't sorted from my perspective from many of our coaches with COVID. So what has COVID taught you?
The traditional industry model is not it's not stable. It's it very easily got knocked. So income wasn't stable. We had to adapt very quickly to be able to maintain an income. So COVID taught me that actually we can deliver a service in a different way. We can deliver a good level of service in a different way, and that the traditional business model that we had before certainly isn't the only way, and may not be the most stable way of earning a living.
Yeah, good. It's I don't know whether it's fate or coincidence, but I started out obviously with the focus of just helping athletes, and athletes are everywhere in the world. If you're an internationally competing athlete, you're in your home country for 3 to 6 months of the year at best. So where does an athlete train? Wherever they are. Where they compete, wherever the competitions are. So people would often ask me, where do you train your athletes? And I look at them, I think, you obviously don't understand sport. I might be on a pier on a lake in Quebec, in Mont-Tremblant in Quebec. I might be rolling around the dirt in Taipei in Taiwan. I might be freezing my butt off on a track in the Austrian Alps. Sport is training occurs where it occurs. It's not like it's like the old concept of a church. You can only be religious in a church. And I'm not certainly undermining the value of the building or the church per se, but for me, training has always been, it's wherever the athlete needs it to occur. So I think the business model that has been promoted in the industry, I think, was antiquated before it was even promoted. I know the people behind it, so to speak. and I know the reasons why they did it, and it didn't serve then, and I think COVID's been a great eye opener. But I guess there's a hope that it'll go back and be normal again. You know, do you have that? Are you looking forward to the old days coming back, inverted commas?
No, I don't want to go back. We want it to change, you know. And I think, you know, the big reset that we're going through with COVID is you know there's always good things in bad situations, and this is good for us. You know, when it hit, it gave us time. So it gave us time to clear our heads, you know, reset. It gave us time to reset how we work our diaries when we see people, which has really changed how we work and how we are personally as well. You know, we're not chasing around trying to train people all the hours God sends. You know, we've cleared that up. I think going forward, you know, we're still early in our KSI journey, but we've got a lot of learning to do. But no, we don't. A long answer, but no, we don't want to go back to anything that we had before, really.
Yeah, excellent. That's the higher level coaches in our program have embraced and really appreciate that. What I did notice at the lower to middle end of our coaches is the reaction to COVID. You know, when COVID hit, they had to make a choice. They either froze in fear or they took action. And I suspect that you were amongst the minority. And it's unfortunate that I described that, but the minority that actually took action. Got together, made some plans, and really worked hard on developing yourself through the KSI courses to deliver a better service for your clients. So, you know, what separated you? Why weren't you captured by fear and frozen? Why did you join that small group that said, no, let's work really hard and push through the courses and adapt our business models and change? I mean, it was why you?
Great question.
Yeah, great question.
Because I'm going to tell you, there's so many coaches in our program who did nothing, and there's some that quit, and that's human, that's normal. You know, this is just the 1%, 4%, 95% rule. It's there's a few other ways to describe it, but for some reason you stood out amongst the minority that you worked harder and got better while many were worrying.
And I think it's because it was a huge opportunity.
Yeah, that's the word that I was going to say, opportunity. We saw a big opportunity to change what we were doing. Just to have a better lifestyle, a healthier lifestyle.
Absolutely. So basically, it broke your fitness model. I mean, I'm straight. It broke the fitness model, and many are hoping it'll come back, and maybe it'll come back 75%, maybe it'll come back 50%. I don't know, but you know, you don't have to go back. But there are many people who don't want to adapt and want to stay in that old model, because if you're marketing your business, your unique marketing position is look at my building, look at my equipment, look at the way I dress, look at my hairstyle, look at my tattoos. Then I understand it. But if your unique marketing position is, hey, listen, look at the impact I have on you. Look at the way your life gets better, your body gets better, your health gets better, your performance gets better. And if it's all about the impact with no words behind it, it's a different unique marketing model. And I'm assuming that you're embracing that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's I mean, we've managed to take on new clients remotely, which, you know, I couldn't have imagined before. There's been a change in a couple of the clients that we had, that certainly in terms of what they're asking for. I have said, well, I'm not actually able to deliver that anymore. So it's given us confidence in what we're now doing, you know, that we believe in that, and we know we're starting to see the benefits of what we're now doing, and what KSI is helping us to deliver.
So are clients in your market attracted to your positive attitude and your determination to be better to help them? Is that something that you're finding is attractive to your clients.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because we've had periods where we haven't seen them or haven't really, had great communication with them through some of the lockdowns, it's really shown us that a great example is I saw a client today who he's gone through Christmas. He's really fed up, and by the end of our session, and just talking in the way that we talk, about spiritually and looking after yourself in a holistic way, he was uplifted. So the way we are is definitely influencing the clients.
Absolutely, because we ultimately attract who we are, and our goal is to attract people, to attract someone who's better than us, so to speak, someone who's more determined than us. It can be done, but it can only be done incrementally. You have to be the person that attracts the person, and that's why many people fail in elite sport. A lot of people want to get, I'm not suggesting you, but I'm saying a lot of people want to get into training elite athletes, but they don't have the mindset and the habits of the mind that an elite athlete needs to have to succeed. So it's important to, as you improve yourself, you improve the quality of the client you attract. So moving forwards, let's go from your study perspective. What are your study plans with KSI? I mean, it's probably a bit assumptive. What are your study plans?
Well, to finish the current level that we're on, and to progress through the levels. We know it's a long process, but we're committed to it. It excites us. We talk to high level coaches, and it's exciting.
Good stuff. You say it's a long process, and the word long scares a lot of people, possibly. And I say possibly. Not everybody wants to play the long game. I guess, I'll give you an example. I wrote How to Write. It had 35 steps in it about how to write a program. And then in 2005, a knockoff version came out with 18. And then in 2009, the same knockoff version came out with 9. In 2020, the next knockoff version came out, had 4 steps in it. So I guess the marketing strategy to people is that we can do this quicker and quicker and quicker. But my question is, are humans changing? Are we evolving so that we can suddenly do things quicker? I mean, I know we've got a dishwasher that can wash our dishes and we don't have to wash dishes ourselves. But as humans, do we evolve any quicker than we did 50 years ago? Or 70 years ago when Earl Nightingale wrote or spoke the strangest secret. So knowing what you know about what's involved in KSI, could you do it in a weekend? Could you do it in 12 months? Or realistically, does it warrant the years involved?
Not at all, no. And I think since doing level 0, and now we view it as though there are different levels to KSI, but KSI is a whole approach, and it's not something that you just do a course and disappear on. It is a way of being, and that's for us, it's a career changing way of being. So for us, it's not just years, it's the future.
Good. So you're embracing with comfort the fact that, I ask myself the question every day: can I teach this faster? Can you learn it faster? And I'm doing my best. It's the same with stretching. People say stretching is time consuming. I'm always saying, well, I'm trying to find a better way. But realistically, rolling on a foam roller for 5 minutes isn't going to cut it. But I'm still asking myself the question: is there a more effective way? But at this stage, we've got 10 levels in the KSI coaching program. It takes the average person from starting point to 7 to 10 years to graduate. I just haven't found a faster way. Believe me, it's my daily pursuit to find a better way. But I'm glad you embrace the long game. And the long game's rewarding, as far as I see it. It's rewarding personally, it's rewarding, financially, and fulfilling. And that's from the Dalai Lama's perspective, the Buddhist perspective, the pursuit of happiness. And that's what we're here for. We're not here to wearing a badge, but it's great to you embrace it. Now, so I've got a question for you. How can we do it better? How can KSI deliver better for you to be better, to serve your people?
I'm not sure I can give an answer to that. I truly can't. But it's like a course that I have never been on before. There's a community that is highly unusual in our industry. You know, we're surrounded by incredible coaches who are encouraging and, you know, always encouraging you to get the best out of yourselves and want the best for you. You know, there is offers of being able to ask questions at any time. There's access to the course creator. You know, there's nothing about KSI that I think is anywhere else in the 20 odd years or whatever that in the industry that I've come across. So I'm sorry, and I don't think I can give you an answer.
Yeah, I find it hard to answer because you know, there's so many answers within the content, and you know, we just scratched the surface of it so far. And if there's not a video to go and watch, there's a chapter to go and read in a book, or a section to go and look up. And you know, we've got a shelf behind us full of books that, you know, we've still got loads to work through. So yeah, it's hard to answer that because we you know, there's so many resources for us.
It's so comprehensive.
You know, I appreciate that. It is a genuine question from me, because it's a question I ask every day: how can we do it better? Because I treat everybody like they're my family, in that, you know, if you had your son or your daughter and you want to help them fulfill their potential, you want to make it as, you don't want to make it necessarily as easy as you can make it, but you want to make it as great as you can make it. So the question I face every day, in fact, this morning I just had another idea for a refinement of a level. And like you, I've got so much work to do. You know, we've got completion of so many levels, or work within so many levels. So it is a genuine question. And as you join the journey with us, to share the journey with us, I will be, you know, open, encouraging you to suggest it. We've come a long way. We've changed and in continual improvement. That's, you know, that's a message. And I don't accept that it's ever going to stop. It's a matter of how can we do it better, and we do that for the athlete. I mean, when an athlete at an early stage to be the best in the world in their sport, you know, that's a very high goal. It's not a goal that happens just by us, you know, sitting on our laurels and just relaxing and saying, you know, that's easy, we can do it. You know, we are driven to provide the support for the athletes who's driven for themselves. And that obviously that's the philosophy that applies to all clients, not just elite athletes. It's a drive within that we want to ensure that we support the best we can. And that's no different than from a coaching perspective. And I've been involved in coach education personally and directly since about 1982, 1983. So it's been a long journey, and I've had a lot of time to reflect on how to deliver. And that's an important question to us. So what are some of the things that you currently asking yourself? What are your current questions in your mind? Like, all of us on our journey, and I encourage this at all stages of your development, be it professional or otherwise, you're asking yourself, okay, I know I don't know the answer to the level I want in this particular area. What are you currently working on? Like every month, every day, every year, we're out looking for answers, looking to the next piece in the jigsaw puzzle, so to speak. Is there something that's on your mind at the moment?
Well, I think the big bit that we are working on is business development, and that's been a huge part of what has really excited us as well. So unique and such an eye opener to what is possible. So that's taken a lot of our thoughts at the moment.
Good.
Because we've worked with people for a long time, and you know, we're molding what we're doing as we're learning. But the business side of things is very unique, and that's very much on our mind.
It's a busy agenda, isn't it? I mean, we teach 5 main areas: business, professional development, financial development, personal development, spiritual development, not necessarily in that order. And there are at least that and more in areas in your life. And I guess if you embrace your change and if you embrace improvement, it's exciting. If you don't, then I guess it could be overwhelming. But you're always going to have something that you're working on, and that's a very pertinent area to work on, especially in the reality that COVID isn't going away. And you know, it's going to shape what we do in 2021 as much as it did in 2020, I suspect. and maybe not as much in 22, but it's not going away. The residue of this experience is going to go on for generations. And if you look at the children who've say middle-aged parents who have passed away, and I know one of our coaches in America, sister lost her life recently. COVID was a factor, and she had young kids, as young as 9, and that sort of impact on them will be there for generations. And I'm the third generation product of the Great Depression, and I know that sounds a bit weird, but I still have values from the 1930s because it was passed on from generation to generation. So COVID isn't rushing away. And as you said, it's an opportunity. It really just accelerated the reality of these business models, and the way of training people were perhaps antiquated, and it's just accelerated that reality. So I'm proud of what you've done with your embracing of opportunity in COVID. And I have a pretty big concern for many of our coaches in COVID, because I feel that COVID has impacted many of our coaches more than it should have. But I know it. You're at the top of the class, so to speak, with your reaction to COVID, and we also have an obligation to help others through COVID, because, as you know, it's impacting our clients in a significant way. It's impacting the athletes, who can't compete or have impacted competition, and it's impacting your general pop clients. It's impacting all segments of our industry from an end user perspective. So if we can't get a grip on it, if we can't come up with positive solutions and adapt, then how can we guide others through it? But again, I'm probably on my soapbox. Okay, so as we wrap, any final comments, any final words? Like you are moving into an inspirational role as far as a role model for other coaches. Your actions you take, the successes you achieve, serve others. It's success is not just for us. It's success is the inspiration we provide others. So Paula, you've been in the industry for 21 years, and Jimmy probably 15, thereabouts 14, and both of you back with a long history of coaching prior and sport involvement prior, and then we probably have a chat about your experiences in track cycling, because I've been around track cycling for a long time, and we could probably have some off the record chats about what you've seen and the realities of it. And we both face those challenges. I face them with athletes that I work with, and when I say crying on my shoulder, I'm not making that stuff up. There was a lot of tears in track cycling, and I'm not suggesting it's gone away, but there's so much to talk about. But any final words of wisdom for those who follow?
I think by studying, by working on the business, we're getting clients that are better than ever. They're healthier, they move better, their well-being is better, and we've been doing it for a long time. We've always been very proud of how we work with clients. We've always tried to make sure that we're at the top of our game as much as we knew how to be, and that's why clients have been with us for a long time. But now it's stepped up another level, and the results of the clients it's no coincidence. That's because we're working on ourselves, working on the business, working on what we're delivering. So I think it's just very clear.
I appreciate that. What about you, Paul? Any final words of wisdom?
I would say, from my own experiences, resist the trends. Stay true to what you know to be true. Trust your experiences. Again, don't have your head in the books or on the internet, or stick to your KSI studies, and trust the experiences that it gives you.
Good stuff. And at the end of the day, the greatest resource is the human body. The body teaches everything we need to know. The question is, do we know how to read the body? Wow. And that's good stuff. Good stuff. So we really appreciate you taking the time. You've been a really inspirational couple during 2020. There's really literally a handful of coaches in our program who have stood up and it's, you can't help but notice them because they're moving forward, they're advancing, they're getting better, they're having positive experiences, and to do that during 2021 is to credit and to the benefit of all your clients. The question is, how can we help people better, and how can we help more people better? It's not about ourselves in the first instance. The benefits we receive are a byproduct. We get paid for the value we bring to the market, to use the Jim Rohn concept, and that's our goal is to bring the most value to the market, not to bring the most internet social media followers to the market, but to bring the most true value to the market. So you've done that in 2020, and we look forward to your continual involvement. When COVID clears up, we hopefully we might do something in your area as we're speaking about now. We're looking forward to getting together as a European in-person get-together as soon as COVID allows it, etc. So I'd like to think you're an integral part of that. We appreciate all the coaches that be on the call today, the high-level coaches, 2 Europeans. I'm not sure if I can call the Brexit country European anymore. No, that's a joke. I love what they've done. I back Brexit. It's okay. I do feel sorry for the Scots a little bit because they decided to stay and now they were regretting it, but that's another story. Rob Bennett out of England and Dave Cutler out of Belgium. Appreciate Tom Legath out of Los Angeles, always there to support. Appreciate that. And we'll talk soon, and looking forward to your role model as you continue to grow and improve through the KSI.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.